The persecution of the working man, behind the scenes of the daily realities of people propping up societies. Part 1. Introduction, Chapters 1 of 5. Chapter 1. The Modern Working Man's Plight. In today's United Kingdom, the term working man encompasses a broad spectrum of individuals engaged in manual and low-wage labor. This demographic includes factory workers, construction laborers, retail employees, and healthcare aides, each contributing to the nation's economy while facing a unique set of challenges. To understand their plight, one must delve into the daily realities of these unsung heroes of modern society. A typical day in the life of a working-class individual. Imagine a day in the life of John, a 45-year-old construction worker living in the outskirts of Manchester. John's day begins before dawn, his alarm piercing the early morning silence at 4:30 a.m. The first challenge of the day is waking up in a small two-bedroom apartment he shares with his wife and 2 teenage children. The cost of housing has surged in recent years, and despite working full-time, John struggles to afford a larger place. After a quick breakfast, often skipped due to time constraints and the need to save money, John heads out into the pre-dawn chill. Public transport is his lifeline, but it is unreliable and crowded. A missed bus means a delayed arrival at the construction site, which can lead to lost wages or reprimands from his supervisors. By 6 a.m., John is on site, where he will spend the next 10 hours performing physically demanding tasks. The pressures John faces are multifaceted. Physically, the work is grueling, often leading to chronic pain and injuries. A study by the Health and Safety Executive, HSE, highlights that construction workers are 4 times more likely to suffer from musculoskeletal disorders than workers in other sectors. Mentally, the constant threat of accidents, combined with job insecurity, takes a toll on his well-being. The construction industry is notorious for its cyclical nature, and John is perpetually anxious about potential layoffs. The challenges of the working class. John's story is emblematic of the broader struggles faced by the UK's working class. These challenges are not confined to the construction industry, but are pervasive across various sectors. Low wages, long hours, and inadequate benefits form the crux of the issue. According to the Office for National Statistics, ONS, over 20% of the UK's workforce earns less than the living wage, making it difficult for families to make ends meet. Beyond financial strain, there is the issue of job security. Many working-class jobs are increasingly subject to automation and outsourcing. A report by the Institute for Public Policy Research, IPPR, indicates that nearly 30% of UK jobs are at risk of automation by 2030, disproportionately affecting low-wage workers. This looming threat adds to the anxiety and uncertainty experienced by individuals like John. A brief history of labor rights in the UK. To fully appreciate the current situation, it is essential to understand the historical context of labor rights in the UK. The Industrial Revolution marked the beginning of significant labor exploitation, with workers enduring inhumane conditions. Over time, through strikes, protests, and political advocacy, workers secured essential rights and protections. The Trade Union Act of 1871, the establishment of the Labour Party in 1900, and the introduction of the national minimum wage in 1999 are milestones in this ongoing struggle. However, these victories are being undermined in the modern era. The decline of union membership from over 13 million in the late 1970s to just over 6 million today has weakened collective bargaining power. Additionally, the rise of the gig economy has eroded traditional employment benefits, leaving many workers without essential protections such as sick leave and pensions. Introduction to the book's main themes. The Persecution of the Working Man seeks to explore these themes in depth, shedding light on the systemic issues plaguing the working class. Through a combination of journalistic investigation, personal narratives, and academic analysis, this book aims to present a comprehensive picture of the modern working man's plight. We will examine the socio-economic factors contributing to their struggles, the health implications of their work, and the political landscape shaping their lives. Real-life examples will be interwoven with data and research to humanize the statistics and bring the stories of individuals like John to the forefront. We will also explore potential solutions, drawing from successful policies and interventions worldwide. By presenting multiple viewpoints, including those of workers, employers, and policymakers, we hope to foster a balanced and nuanced understanding of these complex issues. Ultimately, this book is a call to action. It advocates for systemic change to ensure fair wages, job security, and better working conditions for all. The working class forms the backbone of our society, and it is imperative that we recognize and address their struggles with empathy and urgency. As we embark on this journey, let us remember that behind every statistic is a human being with hopes, dreams, and aspirations. The persecution of the working man is not just an economic issue, it is a moral one. Together, we can strive for a future where every worker is treated with dignity and respect. Chapter 2. The Rise of the 24-Hour Economy. The history of work hours in the United Kingdom is a tale of evolution, driven by technological advances, economic imperatives, and societal changes. From the grueling days of the Industrial Revolution to the contemporary 24-hour economy, the transformation has been profound, with significant implications for workers and industries alike. This chapter delves into the historical context of work hours, the emergence of the 24-hour economy, the industries most affected, and the stark contrast between initial promises and reality. Historical context of work hours. During the Industrial Revolution in the late 18th and early 19th centuries, the UK witnessed a seismic shift in labor practices. The advent of mechanized manufacturing led to the rise of factories, where workers toiled for up to 16 hours a day under harsh conditions. Child labor was rampant, and health and safety regulations were virtually non-existent. This period marked the beginning of a long struggle for labor rights and shorter working hours. The Factory Acts of the early 19th century were among the first legislative efforts to address these issues, gradually reducing the number of hours that children and women could work. By the late 19th and early 20th centuries, labor movements and unions gained momentum, advocating for an 8-hour workday. The 1919 International Labour Organization, ILO convention, cemented this demand globally, influencing UK policies. Emergence of the 24-hour economy. The 24-hour economy began to take shape in the latter half of the 20th century, spurred by several key factors. Technological advancements, such as the rise of the internet and improved telecommunications, enabled businesses to operate beyond traditional hours. Globalization also played a crucial role as companies sought to meet the demands of international markets operating in different time zones. The deregulation of industries and the rise of the service sector further fueled this shift. Retail, healthcare, transportation, and hospitality sectors began to extend their hours to cater to changing consumer habits and expectations. Convenience became a driving force, with supermarkets, hospitals, airports, and call centers operating around the clock to provide continuous services. Industries most affected. Several industries have become emblematic of the 24-hour economy. Retail is a prime example, with supermarkets and convenience stores open 24/7 to meet consumer demand for flexibility. The healthcare sector also operates non-stop, with hospitals, emergency services, and care facilities requiring continuous staffing to ensure patient care and safety. Transportation is another critical sector, with airports, railways, and public transit systems running day and night to accommodate travelers and commuters. The hospitality industry, including hotels, restaurants, and entertainment venues, thrives on providing services at all hours, catering to both locals and tourists. Initial promises versus reality. The advent of the 24-hour economy was heralded with promises of increased convenience, economic growth, and job creation. Businesses anticipated higher revenues, and policymakers envisioned a more dynamic and flexible labor market. However, the reality for many workers has been starkly different. Realities of shift work. Take the case of Sarah, a nurse in a busy London hospital. Her shifts often span nights, weekends, and holidays, leaving her little time for family or personal activities. The physical and mental toll of irregular hours is significant. Studies, such as those by the National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health, NIOSH, have linked shift work to a range of health issues, including sleep disorders, cardiovascular disease, and depression. Economically, while the 24-hour economy has created jobs, many of these positions are low-wage and lack the security and benefits of traditional 9-to-5 roles. The gig economy, characterized by short-term contracts and freelance work, has further exacerbated this trend, leaving workers without stable incomes or job protections. Analyzing the complexities. The rise of the 24-hour economy also brings into focus the complexities of balancing business needs with worker welfare. Employers argue that extended hours are necessary to stay competitive and meet customer expectations. Policymakers highlight the economic benefits, such as increased productivity and consumer spending. Yet the human cost cannot be ignored. Interdisciplinary connections. The impact of the 24-hour economy extends beyond economics into health, sociology, and psychology. Health studies reveal the detrimental effects of disrupted circadian rhythms on physical well-being. Sociological research highlights the strain on social relationships and family dynamics. Psychological studies emphasize the mental health challenges faced by shift workers, including higher rates of stress and burnout. A balanced perspective. It is crucial to present multiple viewpoints in this discussion. Workers often feel the pressure to adapt to these changes, sacrificing personal well-being for job security. Employers face the challenge of maintaining profitability while ensuring ethical labor practices. Policymakers must navigate the delicate balance between fostering economic growth and protecting worker rights. Proposing solutions. Addressing these challenges requires a multifaceted approach. Employers can implement fair scheduling practices, provide health support for shift workers, and offer adequate compensation. Policymakers can introduce regulations that protect worker rights, promote work-life balance, and incentivize businesses to adopt sustainable labor practices. Examples from around the world offer valuable insights. Sweden's experiment with a 6-hour workday demonstrated increased productivity and worker satisfaction. Germany's strong labor unions ensure that workers have a voice in scheduling and working conditions. These models can inspire similar initiatives in the UK. Conclusion, a call to action. The rise of the 24-hour economy is a testament to the dynamic nature of modern labor markets. However, it also underscores the need for thoughtful policies and practices that prioritize worker well-being. By acknowledging the complexities and presenting balanced perspectives, we can strive towards a future where economic progress does not come at the expense of human dignity. As we continue to explore these themes, let us remember that the working man is not just a statistic but a vital contributor to our society. The pursuit of a fair and just economy is not only an economic imperative, but a moral one. Together, we can advocate for change that benefits all members of our community. Chapter 3. Shift work, a necessary evil. Shift work has become an integral part of modern economies, particularly in the UK, where around 1 in 6 workers is engaged in some form of shift work. This chapter explores the definition and types of shift work, the industries that rely heavily on it, the perceived economic benefits, and the hidden costs to workers and society. By analyzing the arguments for and against shift work, we aim to uncover whether it is indeed necessary for economic growth or if viable alternatives exist. Definition and types of shift work. Shift work refers to any work schedule that falls outside the traditional 9-to-5 framework. It includes night shifts, early morning shifts, rotating shifts, and split shifts. The variations are designed to ensure that certain services and operations continue uninterrupted throughout the day and night. Industries relying on shift work. Several industries depend heavily on shift work to maintain continuous operations. Healthcare is a prime example, with hospitals, emergency services, and care facilities requiring round-the-clock staffing to ensure patient care and safety. The transportation sector, including airlines, railways, and public transit, also relies on shift work to accommodate travel demands at all hours. Retail and hospitality industries, driven by consumer expectations for convenience and availability, have extended their operating hours, creating a demand for shift workers. Manufacturing and industrial operations, particularly those involving continuous production processes, also utilize shift work to maximize efficiency and output. Perceived economic benefits. Proponents of shift work argue that it brings several economic benefits. Continuous operations mean increased productivity and efficiency, as machinery and facilities are utilized to their full capacity without downtime. This can lead to higher revenues for businesses and potentially lower costs for consumers. Shift work also caters to the modern consumer's demand for flexibility and convenience. By providing services around the clock, businesses can attract a broader customer base, leading to economic growth. Additionally, shift work creates job opportunities for individuals who prefer or need non-traditional working hours, such as students, caregivers, and those seeking supplementary income. Hidden costs to workers and society. However, the benefits of shift work come with significant hidden costs that are often overlooked. These costs impact not only the workers themselves, but also society as a whole. Health implications. The health risks associated with shift work are well documented. Disruption of the natural circadian rhythm can lead to a host of physical and mental health issues. Studies by the National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health, NIOSH, reveal that shift workers are at a higher risk of cardiovascular diseases, gastrointestinal problems, sleep disorders, and mental health conditions such as depression and anxiety. Social and family life. Shift work can strain social and family relationships. Workers often miss out on social events, family gatherings, and quality time with loved ones due to their irregular schedules. This can lead to feelings of isolation and stress, further exacerbating mental health issues. Economic costs. The hidden economic costs of shift work extend beyond individual healthcare expenses. Increased absenteeism, lower productivity due to fatigue, and higher turnover rates can negatively impact businesses. Society bears the burden of increased healthcare costs and lost productivity, which can offset the perceived economic benefits of shift work. Analyzing the arguments. Arguments for shift work. Advocates argue that shift work is essential for certain industries to function efficiently and meet consumer demands. Continuous operations in healthcare, transportation, and emergency services are critical for public safety and convenience. The economic benefits, including increased productivity and job creation, are also cited as significant advantages. Arguments against shift work. Critics, however, highlight the detrimental effects on workers' health and well-being. The long-term health risks and the strain on social and family life cannot be ignored. Additionally, the hidden economic costs to businesses and society, such as increased healthcare expenses and lost productivity, challenge the notion that shift work is wholly beneficial. Is shift work truly necessary? Given the arguments for and against shift work, the question remains, is it truly necessary for economic growth, or are there alternatives? Alternatives to traditional shift work. Several alternatives and best practices can mitigate the negative impacts of shift work while maintaining economic benefits. Flexible scheduling. Implementing more flexible scheduling practices can help workers balance their professional and personal lives. This includes options like compressed work weeks, flexitime, and staggered shifts that allow for more predictable and manageable schedules. Technological solutions. Advancements in technology offer potential solutions. Automation and AI can handle certain tasks, reducing the reliance on human workers for continuous operations. For example, automated manufacturing processes can operate 24/7 without the health risks associated with human shift work. Regulatory measures. Policymakers can introduce regulations to protect shift workers. This includes setting limits on consecutive night shifts, mandating rest periods, and providing health screenings and support for shift workers. Countries like Sweden and Germany have implemented such measures with positive outcomes. Conclusion, a call to action. Shift work is a complex issue with both advantages and significant drawbacks. While it supports continuous operations in critical industries, the hidden costs to workers' health, social life, and the broader economy cannot be ignored. By adopting flexible scheduling, leveraging technological advancements, and implementing regulatory measures, we can find a balance that maintains economic growth while protecting worker well-being. As we navigate the challenges of the modern economy, it is crucial to prioritize the health and dignity of the working man. The pursuit of sustainable and ethical labor practices is not only an economic necessity, but a moral imperative. In understanding the full scope of shift work's impact, we can advocate for policies and practices that support a healthier, more balanced workforce, ensuring that economic progress does not come at the expense of human well-being. Chapter 4. The Illusion of Choice. In a world that often champions the ideal of personal choice and flexibility in the workplace, the reality for many workers is starkly different. This chapter explores the socioeconomic factors that force individuals into shift work, the lack of alternatives in certain regions and industries, the myth of the flexible work schedule, and the power dynamics between employers and employees. It aims to uncover the extent to which workers truly have a choice in adopting this lifestyle. Socioeconomic factors forcing people into shift work. To understand the illusion of choice in shift work, we need to delve into the socioeconomic factors that compel individuals to accept these jobs. For many, economic necessity is the primary driver. Low-income families often rely on multiple income streams to make ends meet, and shift work provides opportunities to earn outside traditional hours. Consider the case of Maria, a single mother of two from Birmingham. Maria works night shifts at a local supermarket, a job she took out of sheer necessity after her partner left. With limited education and no access to affordable childcare during the day, night shifts became her only viable option. Maria's story is not unique. According to a report by the Joseph Rowntree Foundation, more than 60% of people in low-income households are in work, many of them in shift-based roles. The choice to work these hours is less about preference and more about survival. Lack of alternatives in certain regions or industries. Geographical and industrial limitations further constrain the choices available to workers. In economically deprived regions, shift work might be one of the few employment opportunities. Areas hit hard by deindustrialization, such as parts of northern England, have seen a decline in traditional manufacturing jobs, replaced by service sector roles that often require shift work. Take the example of David, a former factory worker from Newcastle. After the local plant closed, he struggled to find similar employment. Eventually, he took a job as a night security guard. The options were few and far between, and the shift work was a necessity rather than a choice. This lack of alternatives is a recurring theme across many former industrial heartlands, where economic transitions have left a void filled by precarious and often undesirable jobs. The myth of the flexible work schedule. The concept of flexibility is often touted as a benefit of shift work. However, this flexibility frequently serves the interests of employers more than employees. Employers can optimize labor costs and ensure 24/7 service availability, but workers often face unpredictable schedules that disrupt their personal lives. Consider Emma, a young barista in London. Her schedule changes weekly, with shifts announced just a few days in advance. While her employer markets this as flexible scheduling, the reality for Emma is constant uncertainty. She struggles to plan childcare, attend classes, or even maintain a social life. Studies by the University of Oxford highlight that such unpredictable schedules are linked to higher stress levels and poorer mental health among workers. Power dynamics between employers and employees. The power dynamics in shift work heavily favor employers, who hold significant control over scheduling, wages, and working conditions. Workers, especially those in low-wage and entry-level positions, often have little bargaining power. This imbalance exacerbates the lack of real choice in their working lives. A stark illustration of this dynamic is seen in the retail and hospitality sectors. Workers like Liam, a waiter in Manchester, often face a take-it-or-leave-it approach from employers. Complaints about hours or conditions can result in reduced shifts or even job loss. The precarious nature of these jobs means that workers are often too afraid to voice their concerns, further entrenching their lack of agency. Exploring the concept of choice. The notion that workers choose shift work out of preference is largely a myth. For many, the decision is driven by economic constraints, regional employment opportunities, and the imbalance of power in the workplace. The concept of choice is heavily skewed by these underlying factors, making it more of an illusion than a reality. Proposing solutions. Addressing the issue of choice in shift work requires a multifaceted approach. Policy interventions, such as enforcing fair scheduling practices and improving access to affordable childcare, can help alleviate some of the pressures that force workers into undesirable shifts. Employers can also play a role by offering more predictable schedules and ensuring that shift work is genuinely voluntary and not a last resort. Examples of successful interventions. Countries like Denmark and the Netherlands offer insights into potential solutions. These nations have implemented robust labor protections that include regulations on shift work. Workers have the right to a certain amount of notice for shifts and compensation for unsociable hours. Such policies help balance the needs of businesses with the rights of workers, providing a more equitable framework for shift work. Conclusion, a call to action. The illusion of choice in shift work is a pressing issue that demands our attention. By recognizing the socio-economic pressures, geographical limitations, and power imbalances that shape this choice, we can begin to advocate for meaningful changes. Ensuring that all workers have genuine options and fair working conditions is not just an economic necessity, but a moral imperative. The fight for better labor conditions and more equitable work environments is ongoing, and each of us has a role to play in shaping a future where every worker is valued and respected.